The IRS whistleblower showing his face to say the probe against Hunter is a disgrace. A 14-year veteran of the tax agency speaking out on camera for the first time about the, quote, highly sensitive political probe that he supervised. He claims to have personally witnessed interference by Joe Biden's DOJ.
When I took control of this particular investigation, I immediately saw it, was way outside the norm of what I've experienced in the past. There was multiple steps that were slow walked at the direction of the Department of Justice.
Had you ever encountered that before?
I have not, no. These deviations from normal process, and each and every time it seemed to always benefit the subject. It just got to that point where that switch was turned on, and I just couldn't silence my conscience anymore.
He may have a point about it being slow-walked. It's taken 5 years for the IRS to look into Hunter's potential tax crimes and the shady income he earned overseas while Pops was Veep. The whistleblower's firsthand account of preferential Hunter treatment flying right in the face of what Biden's AG said under oath.
Will you commit that the investigation will actually examine the public corruption aspect and not simply scapegoat Hunter Biden as an individual?
I can't comment about the investigation other than to say that all the matters involving Mr. Hunter Biden are in the purview of the U.S. Attorney in Delaware. It's not restricted in his investigation in any way.
But the Hunter saga doesn't end there. Republican James Comer will be meeting with FBI Director Christopher Wray after the Bureau refused to produce documents on Biden family income.
This is one of the most serious charges, accusations that's ever been made against any public official in the history of the United States. And the fact that the FBI just keeps brushing us off and saying, oh, well, just trust us. I mean, it's not going to cut it. So we've had to go to extreme measures. I already subpoenaed Director Wray for this information, and they turned their nose up in there. So now we're going to the next step.
All right, Judge, lay it out for us. What does this mean? Where are we going? Is this going to explode? Is this worse than Watergate?
I knew you were going to use Watergate. I knew it. I knew it. You know what was worse than Watergate? The Durham report. But that just kind of went along its merry way.
Yeah.
Look, if anyone thinks it's easy for a whistleblower, whether they're in the IRS or the FBI, to come out and subject themselves to this, literally, I mean, they could destroy their career, their family, their livelihood. We saw it with the FBI whistleblower who was moved out of state. Then he's told when he gets a new house, you're going on unpaid leave. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense because no case should take more than 5 years in a grand jury. And it's almost going on 6 years now with Hunter Biden. The crimes are replete in terms of the evidence that we have, especially as it relates to tax evasion, $2.5 million paid back, as it relates to the pistol permit application. But here's the thing. Merrick Garland says, oh, no, I'm not doing anything. And this is a Trump-appointed attorney, United States attorney. But the truth is, before Trump, I think it was Obama who had him. This guy has just been there for a long time. I don't know that Trump even had any idea about any of these attorneys general. But the thing is that there's no consequence. If the party in power is the party against whom the complaints are being made and where the whistleblowers are all coming out, whether it's FBI, IRS, or that stenographer in the who was Obama's stenographer who ended up complaining about the ties to Burisma and Vice President Biden, nothing's going to happen. If you don't have the DOJ, if you don't have the Department of Justice, if he can sit there and push back, nothing will happen. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it just adds more and more to the belief that there are two systems of justice.
Exactly. You know, Harold, in the green room, you said to me how impressed you were this was on CBS and that this could be unimaginably worse than anything we've ever seen. And then you invited me over for dinner this weekend.
With his son.
Care to comment on either or both?
I definitely invited you over for dinner this weekend. The first part, I'm trying to reconstruct my memory about. Good to be back. I'd say two things. The judge is right. Whistleblowers should always be protected. There are processes that they go through at the IRS and the DOJ that are a little different than perhaps some of the other agencies. If indeed what this whistleblower is alleging is true and this matter has been slow-walked, after today it won't be slow-walked any longer. I do think there's some curiosity around, and the judge pointed it out, as to why this is taking so long. I'm fatigued by this investigation. If there's something there then Hunter has to face Hunter Biden as a defendant would have to face him. He's not a defendant because he hasn't been charged with anything. We almost feel like he has, and I think the American public feels like he has because of all the things that have been said. But I think after today, and I've read in some of the articles, I think I got the same background materials, Judge, that you got this time, that the whistleblowers to testify privately with the Ways and Means Committee, the Tax Committee in the Congress tomorrow. And I hope Democrats participate in that, and Republicans as well. And if there's something here that if this gentleman is telling the truth, and I would agree with you, when you come forward, this is a lot of risk you're taking, then we should, they should bring Mr. Garland back before the committee and ask, how do you counter this? And perhaps they do it in private, but this deserves a public answer.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying
you're still invited. You're still invited. You can snooze off on this.
I agree with you. We should lock up Merrick Garland.
Yeah.
Lawrence, there was something here. I mean, this is the kind of we're all saying the same thing. It's been going on for 5 years. When are they going to find something? But apparently they did find stuff, but they just chose not to pursue it.
I'll get to the 5 years later. But first, I'm going to do what the Democrats did when there was a whistleblower for Donald Trump. I found him credible. Mm-hmm. I found him as a nonpartisan. He spoke to the issues. I don't know where he stands on the political aisle. That's what they said the last time.
Right.
Now, Harold talks about the fatigue. Well, we could have litigated this before the election, but they realized how it was going to impact the last election. 79% of Americans say they would have changed their vote based on the information that we know now. If you look at the headlines from the Democratic Party, the only thing that they're talking about right now is the quote from James Comer saying that Joe Biden is plummeting in the polling right now. So again, they got all of these intelligence officials to sign on to a letter that they knew was not true. They didn't even verify any of the information, to say that all of this information was Russian disinformation. It benefited their candidate. Democrats are tired of this, but the time to have this debate was during the election, where the press could have dug in, where they could have reached out to their sources, where they could have talked to the FBI, the CIA. They would have did it if it was Donald Trump. Look, I think this is the first time I've seen Republicans in a long time fight on an issue. I think Comer has something right here. But again, let the process take place. They've only been in there how many months right now? Give them their due. At least they're not making allegations that are unfounded.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I just say, since my name was invoked, they started investigating Hunter during Trump's time. So it's not as if this just started now. Because I hear you have every right to say what you said, but this investigation has been going on for 3 years, even under President Trump.
Well, how about Biden? When Obama's people said that Biden and his son shouldn't be involved in some of this stuff overseas. And so it started with Obama.
Fair,
but the investigation
that was an investigation without any power, with no subpoena power. That couldn't actually.
That's not true. The U.S. attorney.
That is true.
That is true. Two against one, it must be true.
The U.S. attorney was investigated. I didn't mean to interrupt Dana, but the U.S. attorney has subpoena power. You know that, Judge.
Oh, in your face, Judge.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah. So, Dana, I've been sitting here for almost 9 minutes waiting for an analogy. I'm hoping you have one.
I'm going to give you one in a moment. But one thing about when Harold said he's fatigued by the issue, fatigue is the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal of slow walking, so that everyone's like, oh, haven't we heard enough of this? Can't we move on?
Yeah, and Biden is the presidency of slow walking.
Yes,
literally. Yeah.
Right, you have to. Because
usually in the wrong direction.
Here's the analogy, is that Comer is like an air traffic controller. He's got a lot of planes in the air right now. They're in a holding pattern, and the passengers are getting irritated. Because in order for any of this to actually have an impact, they have to land some of these planes. Maybe they will be able to do that, but I think that the fatigue issue is real, and it's also just hard to keep up with it. It's like this report and that report and this investigation. It's partly because nothing ever seems to get solved, or if the Durham report comes out, it gets swept under the rug, and then we all are supposed to just move on.
It was swept under the rug, and it was replaced with the scintillating debt ceiling controversy.
I love the
how did that become like the biggest story? Debt ceiling. That's what they did.
Also, there was something interesting that happened last night. It was breaking news here on Fox. They requested the document, and then the FBI director says, I want a meeting with Comer. As if that to usurp the process. So again, Dana's right. Washington, that may be a part of the issue right there, is to give us fatigue. But we have not elected officials acting as if they're elected officials trying to stonewall Congress.
You think?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.